Hey everybody, today on Northern Revolutions, I'm going to share with you my favorite albums recorded by women. So stay tuned. Hey vinyl community, welcome to Northern Revolutions. I'm Rob. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new. Today, I thought I'd share with you some of my favorite albums recorded by women. Last week was International Women's Day, for those of you that don't know. It's funny, the idea came at me from two places on the same day. First of all, I saw that Mazzy over on his channel did a video on this very topic to commemorate International Women's Day. And at the same time, my wife said to me, you should do a video of your favorite albums that are done by women. And I thought, you're right, I should. So I am. I have several, more than several, I have a lot, but I picked my favorite. I think I have 6 because I couldn't settle on 5. So anyway, that's what I'm going to talk about today. Before I do that though, if you could do me a favor, hit that like button, give me a subscribe if you wouldn't mind. I very much appreciate it. And also don't forget that bell notification to let you know when I've uploaded something new. So I'm going to talk about 6 records by women that I absolutely love. They're in no particular order except the last one, which is my favorite. So the first one I want to talk about is Alannah Myles. This is her self-titled debut from 1989. What do I want to say about this record? I mean, the reason anyone would know this record is the monster hit off of here, Black Velvet, was a #1 single. It won a ton of awards up here in our Juno Awards, which is like your Grammys in the US. And also in 1990, this won Grammy for, I believe it was Best Female Rock Performance, I think was what the Grammy was for. But in addition to that, there's a couple others on here. Lover of Mine, Rock This Joint, Kickstart My Heart. Those were all hits. At least here, I don't know if they were hits south of the border or not. But this is just a fantastic rock record. I mean, everyone's heard Black Velvet, and that's kind of what this whole record sounds like. For her second album, Alannah did receive, I think, another Grammy nomination. She didn't win. But really, unfortunately for her, she was a victim of her own success. Nothing ever lived up to the monster that was Black Velvet. So she's only released 3 or 4 albums since then. And unfortunately, largely went nowhere. I don't want to say one-hit wonder, but that's kind of what this is. But nevertheless, this is a really enjoyable record. This has the hype sticker actually affixed to the actual cover, but what I like about this one is it's a radio station promo release. You can see the promo stamp that's on there. So anyway, there's my first one, Alannah Myles, self-titled debut release. The next one that I want to talk about isn't necessarily, it's not a female artist per se, but it's a band fronted by one of the greatest female singers of all time. It's Jefferson Airplane, and this is Surrealistic Pillow, which was their debut from, I want to say it came out in 67, I think, The Summer of Love. And this is sort of I think this is the album that sort of epitomizes that whole summer of love, psychedelic, whatever. I mean, this is just such a landmark album. And Grace Slick has probably the most recognizable female voice there is. And I mean, this album, Somebody to Love, and White Rabbit. I mean, two of the greatest songs ever in rock and roll. So, Surrealistic Pillow, Jefferson Airplane. I gotta have this as one of my favorite female albums. I think I mentioned this in one of my other videos. My biggest influence getting into music was my dad, who was a giant music fan. And I always remember music playing in the house all the time growing up. And it wasn't until I was a teenager that I got into music. But one of the things Dad loved was Motown. And specifically the girl groups that came out of Motown. He was a huge fan of the Supremes. I have some Supremes, and I could have shown the Supremes. But I'm going to show the one girl group from that era that I love. That's the Crystals. So the Crystals were another Phil Spector produced group. I mean, their big hits, obviously, He's a Rebel, which was their only number one. He's Sure the Boy I Love. Then He Kissed Me. And their big one, Daddy Run Run. Now, little bit of controversy around this group. Well, He's a Rebel was their first number one, and their only number one. It actually wasn't the Crystals. It was actually Phil Spector recording Darlene Love and another backing group that he put that single out under the Crystals name. The Crystals eventually re-recorded a version that's almost identical, but the one that everyone knows isn't actually the Crystals, but their version's almost exactly the same. But when I think of females in music, I think of Motown, and I think of my dad, and this was the one that resonates with me the most is the Crystals. A common thread when I'm talking about records, or I'm thinking about, my record collecting journey, I mean, it all starts with my dad. I don't mean to be sentimental or whatever, but he's a huge part of who I am, and I miss him dearly. He's not with us anymore, but one of the other things that he sort of instilled in me was his love of Fleetwood Mac, and as a result of that, this album, this is the legendary Christine Perfect solo album. This is Christine McVie, obviously one of the core members of the Rumours era, Fleetwood Mac, and before. A little bit about her history. Originally, she was in a blues band called Chicken Shack, which are awesome. I have some Chicken Shack records. They are in the same sort of vein as the blues era Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac. Chicken Shack's kind of the same ilk. She had started to do some sort of session work with Fleetwood Mac and began a relationship with John McVie, and they ultimately got married. She left Chicken Shack, and she recorded her self-titled solo album, Christine Perfect, because that was her maiden name. Subsequent to her joining Fleetwood Mac and becoming a lot more famous, this was re-released as the legendary Christine Perfect album. So this is the reissue. Good luck finding an original. They're just not out there, and if they are, they're expensive. But this is a bluesy, love songy, blues rock sort of, what you would expect from Christine McVie. Great record. I can't help but think of Dad when I think of this, because he wouldn't have known about this if it wasn't for him. So there you go. We come now to the woman that I think, and again, I'm not a music expert, I'm just a music fan. I don't know anything. the woman that I think is the greatest female singer to ever live, and that's Linda Ronstadt. For my money, I don't think there's ever been a better voice. Did she write a lot of stuff? No. Everything she sang was covers of, other songs or stuff that was written for her. Does she play an instrument? I don't think so. But that voice, she could sing anything. The power behind that voice is incredible. I've picked this record, which is Simple Dreams, which came out in '77. The reason that I picked this, it's got a couple hits on it. It's So Easy, Blue Bayou, Poor, Poor, Pitiful Me. The reason that I picked this, though, is this has her cover of the Rolling Stones' Tumbling Dice. As far as I'm concerned, is my favorite song in the history of music. I don't have a song that I like better than her version of Tumbling Dice. So that's why I picked this. This record's also significant for a couple other reasons. It sort of relates to the last record I talked about. This came out in 1977, and when it took over the #1 spot, the album that it dethroned was Fleetwood Mac's Rumors, which had been #1 for the last 29 weeks. That's a hell of an accomplishment. The other thing that this album did simultaneously was reach #1 on the country charts, deposing Elvis, who had been on top of the country charts for the last 15 weeks subsequent to his death in '77. I guess a couple of his country albums, I don't know which ones that were specifically, were at the top of the charts as she dethroned Elvis as well. Hell of an accomplishment for this album. I love all of her sort of 70s stuff. Not so much the 80s stuff, but greatest female voice ever, as far as I'm concerned. I come to another one here that is unique and maybe not a lot of folks have heard about. This is Serena Ryder. She's from Toronto, and this is her album Harmony. It came out in 2013. Serena Ryder is a folk rock singer-songwriter, immensely talented, powerful voice. Her album that came out before this, which name escapes me at the moment, won a bunch of Junos. I think it even won a Grammy. This got her some notice in the US. The lead single off of here, which is called Stompa, a song I don't particularly like, to be quite honest, was featured on Grey's Anatomy, and as a result, this got some airplay. But there are some other amazing songs in here, like What I Wouldn't Do, which is the lead track in here, just amazing. Just a great, I'm a big fan of Canadian music, so the great female Canadian singer-songwriter, probably one of the best we've got. So, great record. If you like folk rock, give it a listen. It's great. We come to my #1, my favorite female artist. I've mentioned her before. I don't think I've spoken about any of her albums, though. Grace Potter. This is Grace Potter and the Nocturnals. It's their self-titled album. I think it's their 4th album. It came out in, when did this come out? 2010. This was her major label debut, I believe, on Hollywood Records. I might do a video about Grace Potter. Maybe folks can let me know in the comments. Up here in Canada, no one knows who the hell she is. But I imagine she's got a lot more notoriety in the US. She's from Vermont. Grace is amazing. She's a very talented singer-songwriter, great performer, hell of a voice. I try not to be negative about things, but I loved when it was Grace Potter and the Nocturnals. But then Grace got a little bit of an ego. And I think this is just my opinion, not unsubstantiated though. I think she thought maybe she was a little bigger than the band and ultimately blew up this band. Unfortunately destroyed her marriage with Matt Burr, the drummer, and went solo. She's put out 2 solo records. One of them was nominated for a Grammy. I don't think it holds a candle to anything that she did with the Nocturnals, which is just a shame. One of my favorite rock bands are sort of blues rock, 70s dirty blues rock. They're from Vermont. I could go on for an hour about why I love this band. I mean, this was the album that had their big hit on it, Paris, Ooh La La. But there are so many other great songs on here. Low Road, One Short Night, Hot Summer Night, Goodbye Kid. Everything on here is just, it's amazing. And I really wish that this band was still together. I did get the privilege to see them once. I met Grace. She was wonderful when I met her. And I met her guitar player as well, Scott Tournay. What a great guy. Love this band. I wish they were still around, but they're not. So if this is a record you're looking for, good luck. These are ridiculously expensive if you can find one. You're going to pay $250, $300. I'm lucky to have this. So, in fact, I have 2 copies. Anyway, Grace Potter and Nocturnals, my pick for my favorite female artist. So, there you go, everyone. Just a short video. Hats off to all the women out there. We don't give you enough thanks for everything that you do. Thank you to the woman in my life. My wife is wonderful beyond compare, especially to put up with me. So happy International Women's Day, everyone. Happy belated International Women's Day. That's all I have today. Hope you enjoyed my selections. I'd love to hear who your favorite female artists are or what you think of any of the ones that I've picked. Leave your thoughts down in the comments. I love reading what everyone has to say. So that's it for me today. I'll be back real soon. Catch you on the flip side.